If I were to describe the current Olympics to my son when he's 20 years old, it would be like, listen, son, okay? It was biblical. Biblical is the name that I would use. We had Sodoma and Gomorrah depictions. We had a rider on a pale horse. We had rivers filled with feces. And we got copyright striking for anyone that was showing images. Would that be correct? Would it be accurate if I were to describe it like that? All jokes aside, though, I love the gaslighting. I love the power of propaganda where they manage to make you think the unreasonable. Like you have a brain, you're capable of producing logic to some extent, but then the television manages to bullshit you and convince you that actually it's not what you think. So take the River Seine, for instance. For the last 100 years or so, it was illegal to swim in it. Like if you go and you swim in it, the cops come in and take you away. And they're doing that for your own safety. They're doing that because it's a public health hazard. You see, the river not only carries all of the stuff that most rivers carry that go through cities, like oils and pollutants, but also when it rains, the sewage floods and it overfills into the river. So like everything that goes into sewers, not just the feces and the piss, but like also the stuff that's into houses, like the detergent and everything that people throw down the drain, the oils, the grease, all of that can go into the river. So as you can imagine, it's incredibly toxic. Now, they allegedly spent $1.4 billion in order to clean it. But anyone that knows a little bit of chemistry, anyone that knows a little bit of how things work, you realize that money aren't magic. We do not live in the world of Harry Potter. Just because you throw money at it doesn't mean you can actually accomplish it. And my take was that it's impossible to clean it. Sure, I mean, it can be a lot more cleaner than what it used to be. But I don't think that if for 100 years it was unsafe, now through the miracle of the euro, you are going to have water that's clean enough so that athletes can swim in it. And as you can see, like a lot of athletes were very concerned about this. Hopefully I can handle some E. coli. But then again, like what are athletes going to do about it? They've been training for this for the last 4 years. They don't have a choice in the matter. Their entire livelihoods depends on this competition. So they're going to have to swim in it. Now, apparently, Macron was also supposed to swim in it. I don't know what happened to that. Like that, I followed that up to a point, and then the news just dropped off my feed. So basically, Macron said that he wants to swim in the river, and a lot of people decided to protest against Macron by buying public toilets and defecating into Seine. And despite the fact that this looks and appears childish, it was actually very well coordinated with experts of the field, not experts hired by the government, but like actual experts from 4chan, calculating the trajectory of the currents and realizing where the defecation needs to happen to create maximum impact. As it would go into the path that Emmanuel Macron was supposed to swim. So as you can imagine, the swimming was cancelled. I don't know exactly what reason they gave, but it was like, oh, we're going to postpone the swimming. We're going to do it, but we're going to do it later. And now it is later, and I still haven't heard about him doing it. So I think like he hasn't swam in it. Which is kind of sad that the people of Paris wanted to do that because you really didn't have to. You really didn't have to spook the man. You just had to let him swim anyway because the water was contaminated enough as is. And trust me, no 1.4 billion euros is going to clean it. Now, it turns out that I may be right, but this is where the gaslighting also comes into play. So it really matters if you're like a deviant person or one that is strong to your beliefs. Because see, when I believe something and it confirms it, it's very difficult to change my mind. But there are other people that when they believe something and it confirms it, as long as the explanation is somewhat plausible, they automatically change their mind. I'm not like that. So if I think that the water is going to be horrible, and then I see athletes violently getting sick on camera after swimming in the water, I think that I was right. I think that, yeah, the water is probably pretty shitty. Right? So you have like this person by the name of V, which apparently went for the gold, and the TV cameras capture Canada athlete being violently sick at the finish line, raising further doubts of the pollution levels in the water, right? So, like, again, imagine that you're in my shoes and you're thinking that the water is polluted. You're thinking that they didn't do a good job in cleaning it. And now you're seeing athletes hurling rainbows on television. Now this confirms everything you believe, but this is the difference between myself and a man like Short Fat Otaku. I keep bringing him up because it's fresh into my memory, and I'm trying to understand how people like him are grasping the world and the universe that surrounds them. So basically what happens is that the athlete tells the cameras that no, the water is fine. It's just that it was very hot. It got heated. It got heated during the last laps of the race, and that's why I was hurling rainbows in front of the camera. Now, see, when I hear an explanation, I don't just take the explanation. I offer some scrutiny to the explanation. Like, do I believe it? I don't care if a judge and jury believes it. The question is, do I personally believe it, right? Because I'm forming my own mind, my own opinion. I do not allow other people to form it for me. I'm an independent person. I grew up. I left mommy and daddy. I'm not, okay? So, is it plausible that the water is hot? I mean, I guess. Maybe. Would that be enough to make someone vomit? Unlikely. Like, just the temperature of the water isn't enough to get someone to be sick. It is possible, though. Like, it's not impossible. But it is also possible that the guy is trying to be nice for the cameras. You know, like athletes represent their country, and it would be impolite if the representative of Canada would start going, it's like, oh, what is this nonsense? Why was I forced to swim in something like this? This is abhorrent. How dare they do this to the athletes? You know? Like he basically had two choices. So maybe he chose being nice. Again, this is a possibility. I don't know if this is the case. I also don't know if it's the case that he actually swam in hot water and this is what got him to feel sick. Because there have been other Olympics before. There have been other competitions before where the water was hot. And yet, I didn't see athletes throwing rainbows on television. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's very not uncommon, right? So, this is how you scrutinize something. It's like, up until this point, every piece of the puzzle was falling into place. And just because a man's personal explanation seems to deviate from all the other body of evidence, doesn't mean that I automatically have to discard the body of evidence and just believe the person. And of course, I also take into account that I may be wrong. Like, maybe the water is very pleasant. Maybe swimming in the Seine is quite an experience nowadays. I personally wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't encourage anyone doing it, even if they were to allow it. Simply because I know what causes the pollution, and I understand the technology that they use to clean it, and I don't think that they could do it. I think that they have removed some of the pollution, but not all of it. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.